Nanton is a 5-time Emmy Award Winning Director and producer, but he's so much more than that. He runs this thing called the Celebrity Branding Agency, which represents more than 3,000 clients in 60 countries. And he's directed more than 40 documentaries, garnering 18 regional Emmy nominations and 5 wins. I had him on my podcast recently. And instead, I'm gonna do something different today because we've been doing a lot of these podcast best ofs, and I wonder how much value is actually in there. Because I'm pointing you right to my podcast, I'm saying listen to the full episode. So instead, today, we're gonna play the whole episode in full. That's it. Here we go. We might edit it for length a little bit, but here's the whole episode. You don't have to go to Spotify. My interview with Nick Nanton. By the way, before we start, let me know down in the comments if you like this or you would rather have the best of, because I'm on the fence about both. So let's jump into it. My interview with Nick Nanton, amazing guy. And I said this a couple times on the podcast. He's doing a lot of stuff that I want to be doing. Let's do it. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today we're talking to Nick Nanton. From the slums of Prince Haiti, with special forces raiding a sex trafficking ring and freeing young girls, to the Virgin Galactic Space Port in Mojave with Sir Richard Branson. 5-time Emmy Award Winning Director and producer Nick Nanton has become known for telling stories that connect. As co-founder of the largest personal branding agency in the world, DNA, the Dix plus Nanton Celebrity Branding Agency, representing more than 3,000 clients in 60 countries around the world, Nick has helped his clients craft their message in order to build their platform and share their unique gifts with the world. Nick's Wall Street Journal bestseller, StorySelling, shares the secrets of how to sell without selling by simply connecting with the simple art of story. Nick has directed more than 40 documentaries, garnering 18 regional Emmy nominations and 5 wins. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
As I'm reading that, I'm wondering, is there a limit to how long a bio could be? It's very impressive. And I want to talk about everything in here. It's just
No, it's funny, man, because I honestly recently, we were making a media kit for me, and I literally decided that we made it like 8 or 9 pages, it might be 10, whatever it is, but I made it so that literally each different thing I do for different people is on a different page. So you can just skip it. If it's not if it's about speaking, you just go to the speaking page, because I think most of us have a lot of experience in certain realms. And as I'll start maybe teaching here a bit as instruction. I mean, I think, look, when you go to a specialist, you want to know they're a specialist in what you need. You don't really care what else they're a specialist in, but it's okay to be in business or even as a professional or an entrepreneur. It's okay to be a specialist in multiple areas, but you do have to be very careful not to muck them all up. So yeah, we've just gone to sort of separate bios recently for that reason exactly.
Well, so you brought up a really interesting point, because I didn't realize this until I found you and started doing research on you, but I'm kind of on the same path as you, where my channel and most of my audience was coming to me because I was good at marketing B2B agencies. And then now I've got a production company, I'm songwriting, my little brother's a DJ, we're trying to do all of this stuff. And I'm running into the same, I got comments today, they're like, why don't you make more cold emailing videos?
The thing about it, though, the coolest part about that is the more you do that stuff and the more you sort of figure out the way to communicate it, the more unique you become. I know all my clients in the branding world who are doctors, dentists, lawyers, personal trainers, psychologists, whatever it is, entrepreneurs, they love the fact that I'm in the music business. It's cool to them. And so I often take them, I've taken clients to the Grammys with me before. I've taken them around Nashville. I've introduced them to number one songwriters. I've taken people to Tim McGraw's Skeet Shoot. I've done, so everyone loves that stuff. So that's who you are. Just own it.
That's interesting. And I'm also very impressed you're not afraid of the marketing and branding as well. You said it in your bio, which is actually something, I didn't read it in this bio before, but it's something I was thinking about the last couple of weeks, which is you make, there's so much more money to be made just creating good art than there is trying to sell stuff to people.
Oh, dude, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Yeah. Amen. Yes. How
did you come up with that insight, or where did that come from?
I think it's just by banging my head against doors enough times. There's there's the hard part about so let's talk about art for a second, because there's 2 books that if you have not read, you must read. One of them I'm only about halfway done with right now, but it's blowing my mind. It's called The War of Art. All right. Mm-hmm. And that's unbelievable book written by the guy who wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance and some other stuff. And it's a self-help book written sort of like the art of war, right? But it's called The War of Art. And his main concept in there thus far to me is called the resistance. And you're battling every artist, every professional every day is battling resistance. It would be way easier for a professional writer to just wake up and go, I'm not going to do it today. But you got to show up every day and put in the time, because that's where the genius comes in.
It's almost like a on that point, because I love War of Art. I read it. I just read it again. I read it twice now, and I think that's super interesting, because I just had this insight as you were saying that. I think a lot of me reading these comments and like trying to internalize them and like feeling the hate is actually just me personally like resisting, right? Trying to take the easy path and going back into like the make money niche, you know?
So for me, the business world of marketing and branding has afforded me the opportunity to delve deeper and deeper into the art forms that I love. And I don't think it's really interesting, because both of those worlds, like from a 10,000 foot view or 30,000 foot view, however you want to put it, like seem mutually exclusive and seem like they would hate each other, but they don't. There's just like, I think every musician and artist hates crappy business practices, and I think every business hates crappy art. So I think there's a really, like, I've literally made my life in the intersection between. So for instance, for my branding agency, when I create a speaker kit for one of my clients, or a media kit, or I create like a website, or we create a best-selling book for them, or we create a documentary for them. It's all stuff I learned how to do, like pieces of it in the music business. Like when I had a band that I was managing in college when I was at the University of Florida, and we had some songs on college radio and stuff. We didn't have any money at all. Everyone was broke, so we had to figure out how can we stand up in a music store or on radio next to Metallica when they've got $1 million to make a record, and we're scrimping together like $3,000. And so I learned all the skills from the art world, and I take them to the business world. But my clients in the business world, their positioning is so much better because they don't have a crappy speaker kit. They have one that looks like they're Van Halen. I mean, not in a cheesy 80s or 90s sort of way, but they've got like it's larger than life. And the other thing about that is anything you make, like you have to find the sweet spot. So like a lot of times people would take that advice and go like way over the top in the media kit or something to make it like too rock and roll. It's sort of like finding the happy spot. But I would say I would encourage you to not think that those worlds have as much friction as the rest of the world would lead you to believe they do. And most of the good musicians, artists, celebrities I know are way more versed in the business stuff and the making money niche than they let on.
That's so applicable to the art too.
Amen. That's why I love this. The world I'm living in at the moment is so much fun. It is. It's a mind. It's sort of a mind meld, and sort of screws my head sometimes because again, when I think of, it's sort of like the Tony Robbins line. I've never heard it. Like he says when he's asking people questions and there's like an objection, like, oh well, they would hate that. They would. And he's always like, who are they? And in our mind, we always have these theys, the resistance. And when it comes down to it, if you like try to pinpoint who they are, it's either somebody you've never met before or like a high school girlfriend. It's like somebody who messed with your head. It's not typically someone who's healthily in your life right now, right?
100%. And you actually said something really interesting. Even back in college, it's cool you had this mindset. You were comparing yourself to Metallica, right? Like I know my little brother, so he's a DJ over in Orlando, right? And like the big DJs in Florida are like Easy Baked and there's like a couple other ones. And he was comparing himself to those guys. And like the biggest shift for him was comparing himself instead to like the Chainsmokers, or like compare yourself to an international band instead of like staying local. And I think a lot of people get trapped there.
Absolutely. I'm in Orlando too, by the way.
Oh, cool. I'm over in Windermere.
Oh, yeah, not far. I'm in the Winter Park area.
Nice.
So there you go. There you have it. Locally, we'll have to hang out sometime. That's for those who live anywhere near Orlando. We live on the opposite sides of the. Yeah. Like you don't cross that far, unless someone's giving you a lot of money to do it. It's such a different side of town. They're both great sides. They're probably the equivalent sides. The reason why we don't have to go there because we have what you have and you have what we have, so there's no reason to go that far.
Yeah, and then nobody has any reason to go downtown either.
Amen to that. They're trying to change that, thankfully. But wouldn't you agree Orlando's an amazing community? Like people just don't understand. It's not just Disney. There's so much here.
Oh, 100%. So I'm basically half-time. Well, I'm in like 3 cities right now, like LA, Vegas, and then Orlando are like where I bounce between a lot. But yeah, I like it because it's chiller for sure. But then yeah, there's comedy scene out there. There's movies, like there's actors and stuff. Like it's all out there. It's almost like nobody or very few people know to tap into what is there.
I could not agree more. All good. Well, cool, man. So yeah, so that's sort of where I've ended up in the sort of
nice Orlando rant.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so when it comes to this is what I wanted to ask you then about your mindset. How do you know, or how did you know to compete at this? I guess it's an international level. And like, where did this come from? Like, why are you making documentaries about Richard Branson and not documentaries about, like, you know, your friend Jack or something? Like, how did you get it to this level?
By starting out by making one of my friend Jack.
Okay.
No, literally, like I decided I wanted to tell. So first of all, look, everyone has a story. Some people have better stories than others. But you can always, if you dig in on any level, you can almost always find a great story. So the first story I ever told in documentary, well, actually, if I'm totally honest, I haven't thought about it much, but the very first documentary I made was a mockumentary in college with one of my, like Spinal Tap, the movie is a mockumentary, right? Well, I had a band called Longwood at the time, and that's the one I was talking about. We had it doing on the radio. They were doing some college tours and stuff, doing really well. And so we decided to make a DVD, because DVDs were cool back then, and no one had one, a DVD and album set. And so we made a mockumentary about the band. And so I took out student loans, bought a Canon, whatever it was at the time, one of their better cameras, like $3 or $4 which is a lot of money in college. And I made a mockumentary. I cut it together, I edited in Final Cut Pro and all that sort of stuff. But like then so I left that alone. I made a couple music videos, did that, left that alone for a long time. And then, that was probably in 2000. And then in 2010, I made my first documentary as a 7-minute short about a little boy who I just met his dad randomly in the airport. We started talking, and he had a picture of his son on his laptop, and he clearly had Down syndrome. We started talking about him. He played baseball, and we just stayed in touch. Whatever reason, God puts you in places for a reason, I guess. And so he sent me this story. His wife had written about his son's first. It was his youngest son who had Down syndrome. They had 2 older kids, a daughter in softball and a son in baseball. And so it's sort of like a family thing. He wanted to play baseball, but they're really worried about how it would go. And then sort of this heartwarming story of how amazing the coaches, the team, the community rallied around their son. And not only that, how they all said, we learned more from him than he learned from us. And it was just a great story. So I made a 7-minute short about it because I knew no one was probably ever going to get the chance to read it. And so I made a 7-minute short. We got 2 Emmy nominations, won an Emmy, and then just started making more stories from them. And by the way, so I made that one. And then it started out by the next probably 5 or 6 docs I made were clients from my branding agency going, oh man, if you do that for that story, what could you do for my whatever business, right? Financial advisory business. So I did a really fun one for a family that owns car dealerships. And I ended up doing them for, people who help with wealth management and planning and personal injury lawyers and stuff. And the coolest part about it was they were all, I won't say all, because every now and then one snuck through, but like 98% of them were amazingly great people. And they were just working really hard and really great at what they did. So they were great stories. They're like, a family, a multi-generational family that owns car dealerships. Like there's lots of fun in that, and they're a great family. And then from there, I kept utilizing my work to get me other opportunities. And so I did one for a nonprofit down in Dominican Republic, where it was about women-owned businesses that are microloan funded. And then we won an Emmy for that. And then from there, so it just sort of started building. And then, the way I've always approached making my biggest movies has always, so I'll probably talk about Dan Sullivan quite a few times. So just to set this up, Dan Sullivan is the top entrepreneur coach in the world. He's the founder of Strategic Coach. He is my coach. We had a conversation recently in one of our sessions about, doing things in a friction-free manner. And so if we look at it, really, most of us try to do life friction-free. Like, how do I remove more friction from whatever it is, like relationships or whatever? And so, and to get into movies, I made it friction-free. I never, like the nonprofit movies, the one about the little boy with Down syndrome, the one where I've got Richard Branson in it. And I mean, just recently, I just filmed with Damon John and Tony Robbins. And most of these, I never asked the person I was making the movie about to pay for it. I was like, hey, I'll find people who want to be involved and pay for it. Now, my clients who are making movies about their businesses, yeah, they came to me and they wanted it, so I charged them. But when I made movies about celebrities, or like Peter Diamandis' Visioneer movie about the first private space flight, we got will.i.am, we got Tony Robbins, we got Richard Branson, we got Bill Clinton. I just said, hey, Peter, can I make a movie on you? And by the way, he told me no for 2 years because someone else was doing it. But I know well enough, so do you, from being in the world of art, on some level, most everyone is flaky and disappears. So I just kept asking until that guy disappeared because I knew it would happen.
The flakiness is interesting. And then it's also like, if you have a strong enough vision, I mean, he would have done 2 movies if your vision was strong enough.
Yeah, right. Yes. So that's how I just keep asking and providing value. And like, I don't ever ask anyone to do me a favor. I'm always like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I think it can provide value. Am I missing something? And let them tell me. And usually, I've done enough of these now where I more or less know what moves the needle for different people. Like, I get 1,000 requests to be on podcasts. I don't care. I don't ever ask how many listeners you have. I typically do them based on how nice someone is or how realistic they are. Like if I don't have my podcast out yet, but the market is, the market is 1 billion people. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like you clearly don't understand this game at all. But if someone's like, hey man, I'd love to interview you. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So it's the same way that most celebrities are. I mean, it's like, you just have to understand what's convenient for them, what provides value, what's helpful. And then sometimes they just want to help out. So you just got to sort of play all the angles.
I'm going to have to re-listen to this. Like every 3 or 4 words, it's like another gem. Mostly because I think I'm so close to what you're doing. I'm just like, I am like 6, 7, 8 years behind you. And it's just so interesting to see this. Okay. So what you're doing, so you're reaching out to these big celebrities like Richard Branson. And then once you get them signed on, you go and raise funding like you would any other movie, right?
Well, I actually very differently, in fact. Yes, on one level, but the reason why it works is very different. So like Branson, I didn't go to him. I haven't made a movie on Branson, but he was very tied into a movie I was making. Now, he's also agreed to be on my new show. I have a new show coming out called In Case You Didn't Know with Nick Nanton, and Larry King is executive producing it with me. So I've got Richard committed. I've got Kevin O'Leary committed. I've got Damon John committed, and I'm working on some other really cool ones. And Larry was actually the first episode. But like I just did the documentary. It's coming out in a couple weeks on Rudy Rudiger of, the movie Rudy, like the real guy. Mm-hmm. And we filmed at Notre Dame and all that cool stuff. And I got, lots of great people in that, Dick Vitale. And so it's really just like having her, hey, I'm making this movie on Rudy. I called Lee Corso and Dick Vitale. Lee Corso called me right back. He's like, hey, I'd love to. I just slammed college football at the time I was filming. I get it. But Dick Vitale was off because college basketball wasn't on. And, I was like, hey, I'm making a movie on Rudy. Here's some of my other work. You can see we're not making a movie that's going to be a piece of junk. Would you be willing to be interviewed? I'll come to you. I'll come to your house. Sometimes I'll donate to a charity just to show that I'm not asking for something in return for nothing. And I just ask. But the way I do all my movies is I let my clients fund them, but I promise them it is not an investment. They have to sign off that they understand it is not an investment. Because what I hate about the world of movies thus far is no matter what you tell people, if people go into something even hoping for a financial return and they don't get it, they're disappointed. That's like, it's usually a bad experience because they're like, man, I really wanted to make some money on that. So instead I flipped it around. So, okay, I'll tell you a story. I was out on a shoot with my crew. I've trademarked the term the best crew in the world. So if you want the best crew in the world, you have to work with me, right? So I'm out with the best crew in the world. One of my cinematographers are all super talented guys. One of them is like a math savant. And he understands the game of craps very, very, very well. I'm not a math guy particularly. I don't get it. But every time I go play craps with him, we win. Like 9 out of 10 times I've doubled my money or close. And the one time I lost. So I don't even know what I'm doing. He just tells me what to do, and we get free drinks when we play. So I'm sitting there at the craps table, and every time I play craps, I'm like, by the way, I don't like gambling because I'm not willing to risk enough that if I won, it would make me enough that I would care. Mm-hmm. Like it's sort of that deal. So I take out $300 when I go play craps, which is not a little bit of money, but it's not like, a lot of people gamble thousands and thousands. So I play the 300, and I realized that. So we have sort of a system when we're winning, like, if you're betting $5 chips, if you win the right bet and you get a $25 chip, like we always put the $25 chips in our back pocket, like that goes in a separate spot. So later when you cash out, you got some cash, right? And as they start piling up, you're like, oh, cool. But sometimes you got to decide, am I putting another 25 back out because I want to keep playing for fun? And if not, I'm just going to get hosed here because I don't have enough to play. So I got to the point where I was pulling out a $25 chip and going, man, should I? Like really thinking about it. And I realized I just spent probably $250, $300 on a sushi dinner and some sake, and we had some fun like before at the same casino. And I realized the difference, and this is an important distinction. I don't know if I can articulate it well enough, but hopefully I can. I was super thrilled to spend the $300 on dinner and experience that I knew I was going to spend, and I was getting antsy and didn't feel right and didn't love the feeling of having to decide if I was going to gamble another $25. Like, you're talking a 10x difference of, it didn't matter the amount of money. I was happy to spend the $300 for the experience, and I was reluctant to put $25 in because I wanted a return. So I tell my clients, look, I'm going to give you an amazing experience. You're going to come to red carpet premieres. You're going to be an executive producer. You can do all this stuff. But I own the movie. I will not let you own the movie because I have not figured out consistent returns on movies yet. So I want you to come into this knowing that you're paying for an experience and to help out. You're not doing this as a financial investor. You will get a return on it in your business as you invite clients to premieres and you do cool stuff with it and you're positioning. You've got pictures of you with Emmys, if you win Emmys, and you've got all this stuff. Like, if you're a dentist and you've got, like, you're a filmmaker too, people know you're like so successful. They don't ask you if you're a good dentist because you're so good, you must be, that you're also a film, like you're in the movie business. So I very intentionally switched that around so that everyone would have an amazing experience because they knew what they were getting. They weren't gambling.
So you were saying, so like a dentist, like he's making a movie. Are they still basically paying you for the experience?
So like if I was making a movie about the dentist, he would be paying me. But most of my movies like Visionary, Peter Diamandis, or Rudy, my clients who are dentists or personal trainers or entrepreneurs on whatever level, they all fund the movie in order to come along for the ride.
I love that.
Not an investment. I mean, it's an investment in themselves. It's just not a financial investment. And yeah, everyone in Hollywood doesn't get it. They're like, there's no way people would give you money with a zero chance of return. I'm like, I have hundreds of them and they love it because I'm so honest about it. I'm not the guy who says, yeah, I'll make you a 10x return. Or I say, look, this is going to be an awesome experience. I'm going to, look, the good news is my clients pay me for positioning and branding anyway, because that's what I do for myself and others. So the position and the brand of being involved with Rudy for the rest of your life, good idea. Peter Diamandis, great idea. The microloans for women-owned businesses in Dominican Republic and Haiti, great idea. We're doing a movie coming up on Folds of Honor. They've given $100 million in scholarships to the families of fallen soldiers. My clients want to be associated with that. So it makes sense for everybody, but it's just such a different model because it's not the model that Hollywood relies on.
How much do you think? Because I'm like, as a person, as somebody who gets stuff done, like it sounds like you're doing so much that it's like, is it you riff an idea and then the team runs with it, or like where are you right now?
So where am I right now?
I mean, in terms of like how much thought and how much strategy goes into all of this versus, because you were saying earlier, God puts everybody in a certain place. And I'm not that I don't really believe in God, but I've been feeling this a lot more like in the last 6-7 months. It's like everything does kind of happen for a reason. So I'm wondering how much you're thinking about that versus just kind of going for it.
Yeah, so a lot, right? So my faith has a lot to do with everything that I do. I fail sometimes in being a Christ-like figure, I will admit. But I think it's everything. Because I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you really think about it, like, okay, even if you didn't believe in God, where you are and what you're doing, much of it is luck. Like, we were born in a great country with great parents or with a great mentor if our parents sucked or whatever, right? Like a lot of things. But you constantly have to be looking for I was born into a family where even when we were immigrants, even when we had down times and things were really bad or whatever, like, we were taught to look for the positive or look for ways we could make a change every day. So like I don't know what it's like to be born into a family where, I don't know, you're abused and you're mentally abused for years and years. I don't know how to get out of that. But my point being, I was put in a lot of this is luck, right? But we at some point have to make decisions to try to change where we're at. And by the way, I'm not saying that someone who had worse circumstances than me, I think God put them in a position too, and they may end up in a better position than me because they understand things I would never understand.
Right, but you still had that insight. So basically there was that gap, right? It's like from year 2000 to, you said 2008, 2010, where you didn't make any movies, and then you just jumped back into it all of a sudden. So I'm wondering, what happened during that time period?
Super ADHD, always looking for things that motivate and inspire me, because I learned a long time ago, never sell anybody anything you're not excited about. I did it a couple times just because it was like, oh, this is something people like. If I'm not excited about it, it's useless because I'm not going to talk about it. It's not going to work as well. If I'm excited, it's infectious. Everybody wants to know more, right? It's just how it works. So I decided I want to do it. And so as far as I stay in my own lane, I like Dan Sullivan again, so I'll quote him again, strategic coach Dan Sullivan, awesome. He has a concept called unique ability. And the idea of unique ability is that you should really, instead of being focused on life, the short version of getting to retirement so you can do what you want to do, why don't you just start working every day on taking the things out of your life that you don't love doing, so that at some point you get to the point where you're really only operating within your unique ability, so you're never tired of doing it, you never want to stop doing it, and you've removed the friction points of the other things that make some people think they want to stop doing everything with regard to generating income or revenue, because all the things that surround the thing that they're really good at are so painful that they might as well stop everything. That's like a short description of it. Hopefully makes sense.
It does. I was actually, this is so weird. I was just talking to a friend about this on Wednesday, where basically I used to do weekly one-on-ones with everybody on the entire team at my agency. And recently I stepped back and I'm just like, I'm only going to do one-on-ones once a month because our project manager and all these guys are so good. I was like repeating myself. I was ruining things by being in these meetings. So it's like, I didn't like being in the meetings. They didn't like having me in the meetings. So I removed myself, and the happiness just goes up from there.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I operate within my unique ability. So I'm bad at minutia. I'm bad at details. I'm great at building a team. I'm great at understanding. Like, filmmaking's been awesome for me because I realized from the beginning I'm not a great cinematographer. I'm okay. I can take nice photos and I can shoot some nice video, but I'm not world-class like my guys are. I'm not a world-class editor. I can edit, and I learned how hard it was. I'm not a world-class color expert. But I realized that I can put together a team of people, and the guys who work with me love working with me. So they tell me, at least, because I let them do what they do. Like, I'm going to give them my vision, but I'm going to trust them to fulfill my vision. And I'm going to make sure they do. If they don't, I won't hire them again, or I look over their shoulder to make sure. And then most of the guys on my crew, we've been working together for 5 to 7 years plus. And so, one quick other example, there's a book called Da Vinci and the 40 Answers by a guy named Mark Fox, who's a former NASA engineer. And he talks about this concept at the beginning that I've only read 15 pages in the book, so I'm very qualified to teach it. But let me tell you what I got so far. It really talks about how there's sort of two types. This is what I took from it anyway. There's sort of two mindsets and two types of people. People who seek control and people who seek freedom. People who seek control control everything around them so they can get the outcome, the predetermined outcome they determine they want. People who seek freedom don't control anybody and allow everyone around them to have the freedom that they need to deliver the best thing. And the outcome is often far greater than they could ever imagine, because that's not what they do. So I try to operate within that. I do what I do, and I let everyone else do what they do.
I imagine you kind of it's almost like falling forward, right? And just kind of letting the world take you wherever it's going to take you.
And exactly. And I've had faith in enough good people around me that I think that's very possible that can happen.
Awesome. Where's the best place for people to check you out online?
They can go to nicknanton.com. You can find me everywhere. As long as you spell it right, it's Nick Nanton on every platform, YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for listening to another episode. If you want more content like this, subscribe to the podcast. If you want more in-depth B2B sales training, of course, check out the YouTube channel, b2bsalestraining.org. And if you need marketing support for your digital agency, Experiment 27 helps digital agencies grow their number of leads by building lead generation systems. That is Experiment27.com. There's also notes on all the podcast episodes there, and free sales courses, which we've gotten some very good feedback about. You can also check out my social media. I'm on Twitter, Alex Berman with no E, ALX Berman, or Instagram, Alex Berman1. Till the next episode, I will see you later. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked this longer form type of content, using the full podcast episode, again, give this video a like, but really just let me know down in the comments if you liked it. Because I think these longer videos have some value in them, at least more value than the podcast best ofs. But that's just me personally. You as the viewer, you specifically, not even you as the viewer at home, like I've said before, but you as the viewer specifically, let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, like this video specifically, and I will talk to you another time later. Bye. I'm Alex Berman.